Shane Tribcheck, it's going to be football in focus tonight mainly at Shane's. We've got guests coming in, get back on the regular routine for the Thursday night. Been away a couple of weeks with some baseball, back in tonight. Got Phil Weaver with us, Coach Phil Weaver. We'll call him Coach most of the time. Talking about the East-West All-Star games. Got the basketball, got the football, got the soccer coming up next week. And the first game, I guess, will be the basketball on Monday, soccer on Tuesday, then the football on Wednesday. Coach, take us back into history of the games. I did learn something today. I learned a little bit today on my own. I was going to ask you the question, when did the North Carolina Coaches Association come around? I saw that today driving the street. I think this stuck in my mind. Was it 1948?
48 was when we got our charter.
Yeah.
And, of course, 501c3 nonprofit. And the first game was played in 1949, the football game in Jamison Stadium. It was the first game played in the stadium. Coach got the keys at 4 o'clock that afternoon.
Oh, man.
And, of course, back then, you know, Choo-Choo Justice, you can go back and the stands were full. Everybody's got a hat on and tie on. And,
Dressed up nicely,
yeah, totally different atmosphere.
Wow.
And, of course, the basketball is played in the old Grimsley gym. Well, they played in UNCG first for about 5 years, I guess, till Grimsley was built in 54. And no air conditioning, hot as blazes, and, you know, back then there wasn't anything to do, so everybody went to the All-Star games. Our association was funded by gate receipts. And now, if we had to, we'd go under so far in the team stuff. The clinic carries us these days, whereas the clinic started because the games could afford to get them started.
So the games brought the clinic on. Now the clinic carries the games, which we've been hearing the past couple of years.
Correct.
Now who was it driving for it? Was it Smith, Berrigan, and the News and Record? Were they big into it, driving to push it back in the video?
Coach Jamison
had
and
involved too.
Smitty were talking about, you know, what could be done, and, you know, Coach was a visionary. I got to say this. First athletic trainer in the high school, started the Athletic Trainers Association, started the ADs Association, built Jamison Stadium. You know, the gym, I guess, was certainly credit to him. The man could just see down the road and see what needed to be done.
It'd be amazing to see what he would think about how things have changed even today, and how he would, if a younger coach get involved in all those changes going these days, he'd probably eat that up too, I would think.
He'd have a comment, I guarantee you.
I'm sure.
Let's see, back to your question. Smitty and he got together in the News, and it was the News then, because the News and Record were two separate papers, morning and afternoon.
Greensboro Daily News.
And the Daily News was the standard bearer across the state for covering high school athletics. And, you know, and certainly, I guess, Raleigh, Observer, and Charlotte, and Fayetteville have certainly usurped that lately. But Smitty got some money out of the paper, and Coach put in the work. He and his wife out of his garage.
Wow.
And the basement of the Grimsley gym once it got built. And that's how it came about. A lot of community leaders. Now, it used to be a kid would walk down with one of these All-Star shirts like I've got on, and he can go in any movie free. He can go anywhere he wants in town and get a discount. I mean, they were really the stars of the town.
Absolutely.
Now there's a whole lot of things we're competing with.
But you've been fortunate to keep it going. And like you said, the clinics have been a big boost to keep it going. But this football game, it still draws well from the past years I've gone and attended that game. It's still because of all the coaches that are there, out-of-towners are there, people locals. It's almost like you said earlier about the people in the suits and ties and dress when they didn't have a lot to do. This time of year, people haven't seen much football. They're football hungry right now. They want to see it. That's why I think those crowds are still huge on Wednesdays.
I would agree with you. I think that it's the beginning of the football season. People love fireworks, and I'll put our display up against any of them. And, you know, they're usually close games because the kids haven't been together that long, so there's not time to be really efficient in the passing game, perhaps. But I tell you what, both guys this year have about 20 formations they think they're going to run, and you know, we only require one back in the backfield in addition to the quarterback, so you can have motion and wideouts and everything you want. And
someone was telling me yesterday that the guys are coming in maybe one day later than they have in the past. They've expanded the rosters, maybe a couple of players.
We added 4 players, which they felt gave them some depth, particularly in the line. If you got a kid hurt or just a sprained ankle even, but he couldn't play or practice, you're kind of in a mess. And this gives them a chance to get maybe a punter and a place kicker instead of a kid that could do both.
Right. They can specialize a little bit more then.
Right.
And some of those kickers have been a difference in these games over the years. There was that kid a couple of years ago that was a kicker who was also the great baseball player, Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year. He was a kicker.
Went down and kicked for Carolina, I believe.
Yeah. He was a factor in the game.
And of course, we had both the brothers from Wilmington that kicked for Carolina. Being a Dookie, I can't mention those things very often,
Right.
Even Ethan being a Carolina guy.
It makes for
Playing for me,
sessions
Can you believe I allowed that happen somehow?
But you didn't lose all out because Stewart went to Duke, right?
And Stewart did, and so did Eric. Played baseball there,
So you had
of course, Stewart played on the conference champion team in 89, 94, I guess.
Okay, is that back when Coach Spurrier was there? Yeah, those were good days.
Yeah.
But as far as the games go, the driving force, the News and Record was back to you guys back in the beginning.
Right.
They kept it on for a lot of years.
And we went on our own for a long, long time. And then I got to say this, Mike Haley and McDonald stepped in about 91 and did 3 or 4 years for us. And that really financially, I mean, they paid for everything.
Wow, that was good.
And that meant we got to bank what normally we were spending on the games, and that got us some seed money to where
stock you up for a few years.
We're comfortable now. We're certainly a nonprofit still, but
right. Well, do you ever see, this is just kind of a crazy question, but I'm sure it comes up occasionally among your staff and your people at the Coaches Association. Do you ever see the games taking on a naming rights sponsor? Do you ever see that ever happening? I know the Coaches Association.
Well, McDonald's did it, and the Shrine did it one year.
Yeah, I remember the Shrine came in one year.
The Shrine paid for everything that one year, but they, I guess there was a lot of misunderstanding because they felt like they could sell a lot more tickets than they ended up selling, and they thought the statewide appeal was wider than it. It's the kid, his family, and maybe some people that followed that team during the year. But you're not going to have people coming from Wilmington that are just football fans.
Yeah, they're not going to come to see some guy who's not on their team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
unless
that didn't
back
pan
in the days
out.
Of Sonny Jurgensen, maybe back in those days.
A lot of people would have come then, but he played basketball in the All-Star game.
Ethan played basketball too, right?
Yeah, he sure did.
Chad Brown did too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Going back over those years.
That's true. No, I mean, yes, but I don't know.
You'd have to sign probably, I would think, maybe a 5 to 6 year contract. That'd be a contract for at least an extended period of time.
It'd have to be 6 figures a year. It costs us a ton of money to put these things on.
Yeah, and you'd have to get these guys to lock it down. We're going to do it, say, not 1 year, but 2, but we're going to do it for like 10 years, maybe 6 years.
We have a board policy that requires 3 minimum.
3 years, gotcha.
Same thing for lacrosse and volleyball have approached me about bringing games, and okay, it's 3 years up front, guaranteed, and we have to run it. We're going to control it, do it our way, our coaches, our schools, and it's hard to get people to want to part with that kind of money for.
And you bring up some good points too, because the questions that come up occasionally, I was asking that tonight also. You've got the football, which is doing quite well. Basketball's hanging tough, not what it was at one time, just hanging in there because they're in and out so quick now they don't throw much dust. But you got the soccer. Sometimes speculation about the soccer maybe dropping off some. You went out to Bryant Park this year. What about you mentioned lacrosse? Is baseball? You ever thought about adding those sports?
We had baseball.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, and even then we lost so many kids to travel all-star teams and national games and national tournaments.
Sure.
And we just came to softball, baseball, golf. You can't do them in the summer.
Can't do them all, right? If you did the baseball, you'd have to do it early in the summer to get these guys before they all took off and spread out.
We'd have to do it different dates, and then you can't do early June because you're talking about state championships.
You may not really want to do that either because you start breaking up separate dates. I mean, it's harder.
We don't want to.
You don't want to do that. No.
Our coaches, meaning our members, are. The games are part of the clinic, and the clinic are part of the games, and all of it is part of the association. And they can come for a week and get everything.
But you did, over a period of time, you did add the girls' basketball. That came around. It wasn't there initially, I don't think. Women's basketball came on board.
Yeah, that was. the way things are these days, everybody would criticize everybody for being misogynist and whatever back then, but that's just the way things were. And then in mid-'70s, it became obvious that it was time to bring the women in. Just like at one point, it became obvious that it was time to bring the Black Coaches Association in and join with us. And, fortunately, they decided to join into us rather than trying to make some kind of merger or whatever, and I thought that was a great gesture on their part.
So the girls basketball came on back what year?
75.
75. When did the soccer come on board?
92, I believe, was the first soccer match. Maybe 91.
It's going to be a little tougher this year out at Bryant Park, I'm sure, but you pulled the football off and you moved that to High Point. Of all things considered, that may have turned out better than maybe some people thought it would at High Point that year. I know there was some
Except for
different
the
logistics.
crowd. We were disappointed. We had been promised by the local folks that we would have a packed house, and the folks that had talked and said they were going to come forward with promotions and what just got busy doing something else, I suppose. And
how many were you down compared to what you would normally draw at Jameson? How many were you down?
2,000 to 4,000.
That's quite a jump. Yeah.
We announced a number that was very generous, let's say.
Okay, well, yeah, that's not wrong either.
But we weren't upset with them. I mean, they came through and gave us a facility that was, frankly, better at the time than Jameson was. So we appreciated all they did.
And you go from UNCG to Bryant Park. Who's going to host you out at Bryant Park? I mean, UNCG obviously hosts UNCG.
GUSA, the local soccer group, and Pete Polanski's been very, very kind in working with us and setting things up. And we don't know logistically how it's going to pan out, but we know it's a great pitch, as they say. And, we're happy to have a place to go rather than a high school somewhere.
Right. You would hope with the soccer craze, the recent soccer craze, where they had like 30 million people, when I heard watching the women when they played for the World Cup title, that some of that might be some carryover. It's tough.
We're hopeful.
Yeah, you'd like to get some of that, yeah. Some of that
maybe some girls come out, yeah.
Yeah. Because female sports definitely growing. You see more women out running these days you ever saw before. More girls wearing little soccer jerseys around you ever did before. That might be what the boom is right now among the soccer sport with the women.
Probably will be, you're right.
Got some good prospective soccer players probably this year from all over the state, I'm sure.
Well, we get almost all the top soccer players unless they attend colleges that are more than a state away. We basically say if it's not a contiguous state, we're not going to get them, because they're going to be in summer school and they're not going to be released, or they can't afford to fly back, or same for basketball.
I've got where most of this goes, but you can help me out on this too. Where will the teams be practicing? I know the football, Western Guilford's going to host the West team, and Southwest will host the East team. What about the other teams?
Basketball, Southwest has the men, and Northwest has the women. And what does that leave us? Soccer is going to practice at Smith.
Okay, that's not a bad facility.
Again, Pete set that up for us.
He did a good job there.
It'll be a little warm on that turf.
But, yeah.
That's all right. They got to get in shape anyway.
Yeah, they'll get a good workout in, work up a very good sweat that day.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, and now it's different. You got Western involved, Southwest involved, Northwest. But back in the day, everything was. It seemed like to me, maybe I'm going back into my childhood. Everything was like around Page and Grims. They kind of ran the whole event.
Actually, we very seldom went to Page. It was when I was the manager in the '60s. That's how I started. We did everything on campus, but it was only 3 teams. Football and men's basketball. But Grimsley had a big renovation a few years ago, and we had to go to Southwest. And frankly, Grimsley's had so many coaching changes that staying at Southwest made an awful lot of sense.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I may be wrong again, but I'm kind of throwing a couple of names I think do a good job. Reed Holmes seems very motivated. Reed is motivated. He does a good job. And Chris Causey does a good job. Those guys are motivated for you.
They have. Chris has told me today it's about 15 years he's been with us. And Reed's done it 3. Brendan Christman, of course, the AD out there, and John Hughes at Northwest.
Absolutely,
and Darlene Joyner at Northwest is coordinating the girls, Guy Shaver is doing the boys, and of course Darlene's on our board.
I'll tell you one thing, Darlene is the one who's chasing your legacy. She's trying to get all those girls to some large. She has a heck of a girls' bat. You had the best, one of the best ever, if not the best ever overall. 5 Division I signings back in your championship run. You made it to the finals, but boy, she has got a heck of a girls' basketball team, right?
She's always been a good coach, and we had some doggone good games with each other, I'll tell you that.
She's got 5 to 7 kids. I won't say 5. Nobody has just 5 anymore.
Wow.
But she's got about 5 to 8 kids out there that can go. I mean, very talented kids. That little Haley Barber, point guard, got a kid, Morgan Pointer. Had, let's see, John Newman's daughter was out there last year. Wasn't a major scorer, but a good assist player, very smart kid. Did a good job.
And John was, unfortunately,
yeah, he
since
play.
he went to Page.
He can play, no doubt about it. Now, going back in your coaching, did you ever coach in these All-Star games?
I coached in '84. You know, when I took over the Grimsley job in basketball, I stumbled onto just a wealth of talent, and we had 4 or 5 really good years in a row, and so I got picked as an assistant, and so I tried to run the All-Star games and coach at the same time. That was not a good idea, probably, but it was an honor, and you readily accept it.
As a girls' coach, you didn't coach any games, but you were too busy doing your other job then. What could you?
I sort of thought maybe North Carolina, South Carolina would have been a great
That would have
thing,
been a good one, yeah.
no, I never did that.
How did you get involved in, I know you've been with the Coaches Association and public coaching, but how did you get involved being one of the leaders of this whole operation with the Coaches Association? How all that happened?
Like I said, junior year in high school, I'm the statistician on the varsity basketball team, because back then juniors played JVs, and I was a junior, and we won the state championship, beat Reynolds, and Lewis McCall punched me. I was sitting behind him, the assistant coach, and said, "Phil, you need to go ask Coach Jameson right now, let you manage the All-Star game." And my eyes probably got, big as saucers, and I said, "Right now?" He said, "Yeah, I'll never be happier." So I went and asked him, and Coach said, he couldn't fathom what I was really talking about, I guess. He said, "Well, sure." So I was the manager for 2 years.
Right.
And went to college, came back, and then first year back, I need a bus driver for the football team. Sure. So went from there to Mac and I came on in 75 or 6 together. Coach said, "Can you two get along?" I said, "Well, we don't when we play each other, but all the rest of the time we're friends." So, he had us handpicked to be his successor.
Coach Jameson, right?
Yeah.
And he was still kind of the overseer of the operation?
Oh, he ran it for another 10 years while we learned what the heck was going on.
That was a good time to get in there, too. You guys, kind of his understudies at that time, you had about a 10-year training period, and you guys, that was about 85 or 86. He stepped down. You guys took over.
86. Yeah, you're right.
Run it from since then.
And Coach was one that would, my first team, I said, "Coach, I got a game at Stoneville today." He said, "Here are the keys, go drive the bus." Well, he didn't know whether I could drive the bus or not. It didn't matter.
Back then, every bus had manual transmissions and everything like that. Wow.
But
a lot of hills between here and Stoneville, too. I could see that highway going up 220 north.
Well, it's coming back. That was the problem. The Stoneville kids put rubber bands in our gas tank.
Wow.
And so we came back at about 10 miles an hour.
My Lord. I bet some of those kids with that team, you probably still remember that trip. And you took time out.
They probably did.
So you wouldn't forget there. Wow.
Yeah, we forgot our shorts. And then I realized, hey, coaches are responsible for a lot more than just coaching the game.
Exactly. We got to get that.
So we borrowed shorts to beat them by about 25.
And that was actually Stoneville back then, right?
It was Stoneville,
Team,
It wasn't Rockingham County,
Yeah, what
Grady Stafford put that together.
A long time, Grady Stafford, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, you and Mac have run this now for several years, probably 25
Almost
years.
30,
years. Now, who are your understudies now?
All right, well, we already had Grimsley Page, right? Mm-hmm. So to bring somebody in, we went to people we knew could do things. So my trainer at Grimsley was Joe Franks. Mm-hmm. But we figured if he came on with me and Tim Vi, Mac's trainer, came on with him, that wouldn't work. I mean, we'd have Grimsley Page fights every day.
Every day, yeah.
So Joe went to work with Mac, and Tim came to work with me.
Interesting, yeah.
And that has really worked out really well because Tim does some things that he likes to do that I don't like to do, like detail work. He runs a banquet.
Yeah.
And that's a huge task. And Joe is, you never met a guy that knew more people or was happier and, never met a stranger. And he's perfect for the clinic desk where a million complaints come in and he can just handle them with a smile and, Mac and I'd be a little more direct, perhaps, than Tim and Joe.
And both of them are now retired from teaching and that type of thing, right? Yeah.
So, and of course, we had Linda Tamlin with us for about 20 years, and then she passed away in November, which was tough. But Malia Jones, who used to teach in the county system, both the county folks and Lewis Newman at Grimsley, gave us her name and said, "You need to talk to this lady." And
is that the lady who used to help Lewis?
She volunteered some.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Ann, who did most of it.
Okay.
But yeah, you might have caught her there.
Right.
And she's come in and picked up on a lot of stuff and done real well considering.
You talk about the Coast Association and the clinic. Now, the clinic this year, who are some of the key clinic speakers you got this year? Any big names coming in?
Boy, you got me where I don't do very well. I know he does, but I get so wound up with the games. I've got a clinic brochure in the car, and I almost brought it in. I should have.
We've had some good names in the past. We just saw that Gene Chiswick name on the way in. He was here last year, I guess. That's in our book here.
Yeah, the NCAA has passed a rule that Division I coaches can't come and speak if there's an all-star game involved. And we have tried to tell them that our game is not involved because the kids never see the coaches.
Right.
I mean, we're about as two separate of functions as could be, even though we're in the same office. But they won't relent, so Mac has had to go get folks that, have coached in the past that people would like to hear. Fisher DeBerry, for instance, is coming this year.
That's a great. Used to be at Appalachian years ago for a little while too.
Right.
Great one.
Yeah. So he's had to, in football, he's had to go that route.
I bet Fisher DeBerry. There's no telling how many clinics he's probably spoken at. So many of years.
Thousands.
Outstanding speaker. Yeah.
And our guys took to it really well. I think he added a high school coach maybe each year. And football coaches, as long as you're talking football, they're happy. They're much better about that than we basketball coaches were, I'll tell you that.
Now, you got a lot of people helping you, like we mentioned. You got Max with you still. You guys been together.
Yeah, I only went one level. See, after that, David Rogers, track coach at Page, came in to help Joe and Mac.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I've put Clayton Nance, who everybody in Greensboro knows.
He does a good job. Yeah.
has done my football for almost 25 years.
Wow.
So he's in charge of minute-to-minute operations. And just for football.
Right.
And then Reggie Peace, who coached at Smith a couple times and is now at Lee County, and also our association president this year, does my basketball. And then Herc DeGraw, who coached forever at Grimsley. And actually, I got to give Herc credit. He and I together put together the first deal on soccer because he had a lot of connections and pulled in Zach from Page, Osborne, and got some folks to give us some money. But Herc has been the soccer coordinator every game we've had, so he probably knows more about soccer than I do even.
And it's good to see these guys like Joe Franks, and you mentioned Tim Vaya, and you mentioned Herc DeGraw. People have been in the school community, the Gulf County school system for years, who are still willing to be active and stay involved in these activities, even after some people, their work is done after they go the 22 to the 52 range after 30 years. You never see these people again.
Yeah, and then we got Ethan, who we just hired 3 years ago.
He's been a good
out of the
acquisition,
NFL as a kids clinic director.
Oh yeah, that's been a good addition too. And what I learned today when I got that press release from Mr. Willoughby, who's come on with me in the past couple years, David Willoughby, about the kids basketball clinic too. That's a great thing to see.
I don't want to take Ethan's thunder, but when I hired him, it was to run clinics, not a football clinic. And
clinics, yes, with the S, yes sir.
Ethan's got a great sense of humor, and now he coaches at Page, and so having played for us at Grimsley, it's sort of a nice bridge of some schools in town, and he's got some great NFL stories now, I'll tell you that.
And some good connections too.
Yeah, he's been able to bring in a lot of pros to help him that kids see a guy that played in the pros, they won't know the name because he
Right.
played offensive line.
You
But,
see a guy like Ethan, the kid just says, man, that guy's big. This guy's got to be a football guy, right?
yeah, and he's lost weight since he played. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
and a lot of those guys do.
He won't tell you this, but 17 years in the NFL, he graded 100% on every snap. He never had a bad snap.
It's unreal.
That's inconceivable.
It's almost like taking him and turning him into like a snapping machine. He'd be like
was.
a mechanical machine, yeah.
The red snapper.
Yeah, he's tough.
And he didn't write the letter
What's that?
that everybody accused him of writing the letter to John Madden, and he didn't do it.
I got you. And when he was at Grimsley, he went only football, but he was an outstanding basketball. Eventually played in the All-Star game. And plus, he was a good baseball player
He was a
too.
heck of a
Very
baseball
imposing
pitcher.
figure. Yeah, very. But
Well,
I thought he might be like a Tim Stoddard, maybe go baseball route since he was one
He
day.
played it for 1 year at Carolina, and it just got to be that, he'd go from football spring practice to baseball practice to study, and it was killing him.
Yeah, he's almost like a Rusty LaRue because Rusty LaRue
Yeah.
is kind of like that also.
Rusty did it, though.
Yeah. And
He played too. That's an amazing thing to do that. But,
what Ethan's done has been great, though.
well, Ethan was High School Player of the Year in North
I
Carolina.
thought he was
his senior year.
Exactly. Now you look at, go back again and tell us the days of every event coming up, all the games, all the different
All right.
days.
Monday night, Greensboro Coliseum, main arena. Girls start at 6:30. Ethan will tell you about the clinic that afternoon. And the guys follow 20 minutes afterwards, and we'll introduce, this is cool, the 1965 reunion team.
That's a
We've
good
got, I think, 15 out of the 20 guys coming. Now, what makes it significant was that Pete Maravich scored 42 points, 30 in the second
His
half,
name down when you lose, yeah. Wow.
with
30 in
no
the second.
three-point line and 8-minute quarters.
8-minute quarters. Wow.
30 points in 16 minutes.
That's unreal.
And the best players in the state trying to guard him. And Rusty Clark, Bill Bunning, Joe Brown all played at Carolina.
those
Dale
guys.
Stubbs played at Duke. Bob Albright, Ethan's uncle, was a freshman player at Duke. Jay Randall played at Wake Forest and coached with me at Grimsley. That was my senior year.
Yeah.
So I was a manager for that team.
Wow. Who was the coach of that team back then? Was it Coach
I have
Brogdon?
no idea. They're all dead.
Yeah. What about, is Coach Brogdon, Leon Brogdon, he's not
No,
still
he
around.
passed away.
Yeah, but man, 1965 team in
50 years.
50 years. That's amazing.
And they have the best time when we have these reunions. But that one being Maravich, even the West team that got spanked by him really kind of enjoys the notoriety of being the team that gave up the 42
In
points.
that game, yeah, that's a huge memory.
But I mean, I can remember one play from it. He went dribbling down on what it looked like maybe was contested breakaway, and this guy coming from behind, he was going to block him or foul him or from behind. I mean, you could just see it in his eyes. And Pete just stopped, flat-footed, jump stop, did a little pump fake with the ball, and the guy went flying in the stands, and Pete laid it in without even jumping.
And he was with Raleigh Broughton, right?
Played for Broughton.
Yeah.
And then LSU set the national NCAA scoring record, which still stands for his career with 42 points a game.
Did you have the other guys too? I mean, among others, did you have the Phil Ford to David Thompson? Tommy
Phil
Brosnan,
Ford
all those
played.
guys?
Thompson played for Mac when he coached in 75 until 80. And the NCAA stuck its nasty nose in again and said you can't play in you can't play in any organized summer ball of any kind. We lost Worthy and Jordan in the same year. And for about 10 years, we would lose an occasional player.
I think you did have Antoine Jamison because I remember interviewing
Yes, he
him that
played.
year.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, we got the Ingram kid going to Duke, and Stephanie Watts who's going to
The
Carolina.
Ingram kid going for you this year, then, right?
Yes.
That's a big name. That's a big
That's a
draw.
huge name.
You
He's
built-
number
you-
2 or 3
Yeah, you
recruit
built
in the
around,
country.
you built around the whole game around him. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. The day he signed was almost like a day of infamy when he was signing or making his commitment that day.
There were a lot of us Dukies that were happy, and a lot of Carolina folks were not very happy because the rumor was, of course, all along that he would follow in the footsteps of the other Kinston folks and go to
Right.
Carolina. But
Did have that recent quarterback out of Lincolnton, I think it was, that committed to Duke, but decommitted and went to Carolina. Did have that change.
that wasn't very good.
That was Chad, I think the Surratt kid, Chaz Surratt, I think it was. But you got a lot of kids coming into town. Where do these kids stay at?
All the boys, men, stay at the Clarion, Guilford Jamestown Road, and women at the Quality Inn Suites out 68. Used to be the Albert Pitt.
Okay, really?
And both convenient to Southwest and Northwest, and everywhere we got to go.
Back in the day, I'm just thinking some memory. I saw these guys, because you talked about how you'd see these guys walking around town. It was a big thing. Did they stay at that downtown Hilton?
Sure did.
I thought they did.
King Cotton.
Yeah, King Cotton. That's amazing. That's my dad worked there. That's King Cotton days.
And
That's back when your uncle,
the S&W.
Yeah, your uncle was actually in the old downtown.
He was in the
hotel.
King Cotton.
Yeah, he sure was.
Yeah, ACC had their first offices there.
Sure
Yeah.
did. And I used to see those players too sometimes eating their meals later on at the K&W cafeteria.
S&W.
Then I saw them later at the Canada Friendly. I saw them there.
Well, yeah, we did. We went there for about 15, 20
Yeah, I
years.
saw those guys. They would walk in every afternoon, grab those afternoons.
They got so tired of eating at the same place.
Well, the food's
It's good food, though, and those folks helped us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Coach's Clinic keeps getting bigger and bigger. Do you ever put any kind of numbers on some of those things? I mean, how many people attend, coaches and all that to the clinics?
Oh, yeah, we had 8,000 last year.
8,000.
We've had over 6,000 athletes over the years, which is kind of incredible.
It is incredible. It sure is.
Considering that only 184 this year, which is the biggest year we've ever had. Out of the 100 and some thousand that play in North Carolina each year, we got 184.
How do you decide who's going to be in these games? Do you have like a selection committee and then contact the coaches or contact the players?
Thursday next week, our board of directors will come together and pick next year's coaches. And then they are responsible for picking their team. They come in, football's January, I guess. No, it's February after the signing date. And we'll sit down and they'll give me 36 names, and that's who we're going to invite.
And I think you've got some local coaches involved this year. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Coach Gillespie a page involved
Coach
this
Gillespie
year?
and
who else?
From Dudley, Stephen Davis.
Coach Davis,
Yeah.
because I knew Coach Darrell Brown had gone. He was in the Shrine game. I think he was involved in that. But you got Coach Gillespie and Coach Davis. Those are two
And my
very good
buddy Debbie Jones from Page is in the basketball game. So
That's good stuff.
she's a heck of a coach.
Heck of a coach, she sure is. Paris Key, one of the best players we ever saw dribble the ball around here. Paris, now she's headed to North Carolina.
Yep.
Amazing. You still carry that Duke Carolina thought, right? That
Hey,
stays with
in
you.
our office, see, Mac went to Davidson, but he's still a Carolina guy because he worked at camp all the time.
Right.
So except for Joe, who went to Clemson, and there's nothing you can do with those people.
Well, he used to have that like orange station wagon he drove around campus back then.
You got to come in the office and see his desk.
Orange.
So he had all this Clemson stuff, and then Ethan comes in, and that got him going. So he put his all-bright jersey from Carolina and helmet.
Yeah.
Well, that got Joe going. So the next day there was an explosion of Clemson stuff.
Like you
and
said,
Ethan is just sort of, you can ask him, but he's retreated into the background.
Backed off some.
He can't compete with Joe. No way.
Like you said, it sounds like the fun things in your office among all those coaches and former players. A very competitive group.
We enjoy kidding a lot. If you do what we do, you have to be able to laugh. And, I got to admit, losing the state championship game to Mac is still something we don't talk about very often. But there are a lot of things that we had where we won or lost and competed at other games that we laugh a lot about.
Any other events, like, I know you're staying swamped busy, locked down busy the entire week with the players and practices. Do you do anything like for the coaches? You mentioned a banquet. Any other things like that during the week? Any golf tournaments?
Okay.
Do stuff like that?
No, we tried it one year, but there's just no time without taking them away from the clinic. And we didn't want to do that to them, nor have them do that to the speakers. So we did 1 year of that, and that went by the wayside. But Monday night and Wednesday night are meals for the coaches. There's a FCA does a luncheon one day for them. Of course, you got the 3-night games. Then Saturday night we're going to have Triad Bowling is going to have us out. And we're going to do the first East-West All-Star Football Bowling Contest.
Bowling contest.
And they gave us a big old golden pin, and whoever wins it's going to autograph it and leave it in our office. And I told the guys today, we had our football coaches meeting, they seem to think that's going to be really fun, that the kids will enjoy it.
Oh, the kids should get a kick out of that.
And then we take them to the movies down here. Red Cinema hosts us one night, and they've been gracious to us for years and years. And then if the Grasshoppers were in town, we would take them a night
take them
to
several
there.
games.
In fact, that's where the bowling came from, is the Grasshoppers were out of town.
So you had to come up with an alternative plan. yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good plan, too. I think they'll enjoy that. Nice air-conditioned setting inside that bowling center. It should be a lot of fun.
Banquets open to the public. Wayne Robinson,
Oh, yeah.
Virginia Tech, and NBA is going to be our speaker. And, we'll have 600 people there, parents and coaches.
Where is it being held at again?
Sheraton, Four Seasons.
Four Seasons, gotcha.
And, we have to sell tickets to and close it out for fear of filling up.
Exactly. That's a really good problem to have.
It's coat and tie, and the kids look great, and they're so serious when they walk across to get their plaques. It's really kind of interesting because these kids are going to be cutting up in another hour back at the motel, but it's quite an honor, and they appreciate that.
I guess it's still the same thing in the program, but years ago it was kind of interesting, too. The guys would be in the program, I think, in coats and ties back in the day.
Well, we try, but
Yeah.
in the digital day, and now that yearbooks have gone to so many nature poses,
Right.
we have to take them when we can get them.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, though, it was kind of interesting to see all those guys, like the linemen would have that collar button, be a big, thick neck.
Yeah, but then you had Tom Northington who'd get mad at him because they didn't send a good picture, and he'd cut out the face and put it on a guy with a coat and tie, and it'd be way up to here. It would be really strange
He was with you
looking.
guys a good long time, wasn't he, Tom Northington?
Tom did a great job on the program, yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
See, he could use his daily news contacts and equipment, I guess, to work on it, and that really helped.
He was like your news and record contact for a number of years, then, probably, huh?
He was the preeminent sports guy
Exactly.
in print for years.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't anybody any better.
I remember the first time I got my credentials to go to the games years and years ago. He
Probably
was the man
from
I
him.
contacted him, yeah.
Well, we've had to farm that out, and I forgot to mention David Willoughby,
Yeah.
who used to coach cross country at Northern, has done our press now
He's
for
done a good job.
quite a few years. He works hard at it.
Yeah.
Ty Buckner
Ty was
came
good.
in from UNCG and laid out the plan for how to do it, because we didn't know,
Right.
frankly.
Right.
So he's the guy that got you guys set up right. And then David has followed through, and he's very conscientious.
See, Tom Buckner would come in someplace, maybe stay 5 to 6 years. It seemed like he'd been there 30 years. He did so much. Then he'd be gone. Yeah, he was.
Well, he's still at Guilford now.
Yeah, he left quite an impact.
And then Mary Vi does our program, and
She's been with you for years.
I work with the National Organization for Coaches Associations, and nobody does a program like that. I mean, that's 128 pages of
That's a lot of pages.
perfect bound, they call it, I think, and color, cover, and inside, and
The price, $5. I mean, guys.
that's a giveaway.
You can't get anything like that anymore for $5. There's no way.
Plus, it's got all the history of the games in the clinic from the first year.
And you go to get a program like that, most play like at a golf tournament, it's going to cost you 10,
20.
$15 at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you go to the ACC tournament, it's going to cost something like that. What would you like to see happen with the games in the future? You're kind of looking down the road at the high school landscape 25, 20 years down the road, whatever. What would you see like happen to these games?
I wish, and it ain't gonna happen, but college sports is too big a business. When a kid has to go, sometimes even graduate in January, miss his prom and everything else to go to college, there's something wrong. That takes him out of the All-Star game. If he's a Division I football player now, they demand that he's on campus to practice.
Right.
I'm gonna hand it to A&T, because they are one Division I who will make sure their kids play in this game. Now, I know they're local and that helps, but, there are other schools that are within driving distance that we could get kids to summer school perhaps and still come, but A&T makes it work. It'd be great if we could get them back, but there's still an awful lot of good football players.
Yeah.
In basketball, we're getting the best. In soccer, we're getting the best.
In basketball, for a while, like you say, you didn't get the best. Now you're starting
Now
to
we
get the best
do.
again. Yeah.
And I think certainly volleyball is a logical addition to balanced football. But funding is an issue. It costs. My bottom line, if I was going to you to say, I want you to sponsor volleyball, is you're going to have to come up with probably $100,000 for 3 years and guarantee it.
Yeah.
And I may not make ends meet with that. When you give them plaques, when you take them to the banquet, you put them in a bus, not a school bus, a real bus, to travel around.
Yeah.
You know, everything you got to buy, feed them and room them and all that, it's expensive. Lacrosse has approached me, but there is a lacrosse all-star game now, and
You did one at Guilford College this year.
we
I think.
want to see how that would work
One
together.
thing about the Guilford College field, one thing you won't lack there, you won't lack the lines, those turf fields. They got so many lines, those turf fields. You can probably play.
I don't know how you know which one's
You
which.
see, you play 100 sports in those fields. And you kind of think about it, you lost 3 locals this year. Those for the football today. Lost Darius Graves, lost Sturdivant, and lost Xavier Hill Mays from Page. Those 3 kids, I guess.
And each one was a summer school issue, which frankly should have been resolved the day they were invited, or before, really before. Sometimes we get a kid hurt and he has to be replaced, and then you live with that.
Yeah.
The summer school rankles me, to tell you the truth. We had a local, I'll say it's truth. High Point College had a girl drop out yesterday, and she'd been promised she could play. And the head coach changed their minds and said, she needs to be here, we don't want to get hurt. Well, you're not going to get hurt in basketball, for crying out loud. She could be playing basketball wherever she is.
In the backyard, yeah.
Well, at college.
Pickup, yeah, college,
She's playing pickup games with bigger kids.
Sure.
So, you know, stuff like that hurts. But the kids that come in sometimes are MVP.
Right. I like it when sometimes you pick up a local kid in the community because you can't, sometimes it's hard to get a kid at the last minute. Granted, and that kid really wants to play. He gets in there and it's just a huge moment for them.
The year Mac coached, the MVP of the basketball game was a pickup at the last minute.
Amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of good players that don't get picked, and that's the bad part.
It's all about having time and managing the time. You guys did a good job managing your time over the years. You probably had to have a good leader, like you say, Bob Jamison, to set the standard for you guys back when you got into it.
Coach was brilliant. Of course, he'd tell you that too. He said one day, he said, my IQ is 156. And Coach McCall said, Coach, you're confusing that with your weight. But Coach is really, those 2 things, his vision and his ability to say, Andy, you're in charge of that. That's all he'd tell you.
Go do it.
You'd have to ask him if you wanted to know something, but he wasn't going to tell you what to do.
Right.
And if you made a mistake, he'd back you. I mean, I made mistakes and he backed me, and then he'd call me in and say, hey, we got to figure out how to do this better. But to the public or to the person that you wronged, that he was going to back you.
It sounds like he was a true AD kind of guy.
Oh, he was. Absolutely. He was fine to work for, but I've had a lot of good ADs, so I shouldn't complain.
Listen, I'm not going to complain one bit. I'm glad you took time out to come join us. Again, refresh our memory one more time. I know we can't say it enough. The times and dates of these games one more time.
6:30 Monday night, Greensboro Coliseum main arena. 6:30 at McPherson at Bryan Park for soccer on Tuesday. And 8 o'clock kickoff at Jamison with prelims starting at 7:40.
It's good to have